Becoming a multi-planet species beats the hell out of being a single planet species. Elon Musk. Hey, wait, are we talking about habitation in a different planet? But why? There are too many reasons. Among them, two are lack of scarcity of resources and lack of land for overgrowing population in land Earth, in our Mother Earth. Good afternoon, everyone. Here we are exploring stars WTC C054 for colonization of Mars. Why Mars? The main four reasons are its proximity to the Earth, striking resemblance to Earth, and potential to harbor life. Moreover, it will be in the habitable zone of the Sun till the Sun's lifetime, that is 6 billion years from now. Where in Mars? Revis Valley. It's a Martian valley in the southern hemisphere of Mars that starts from Promethea Terrae, runs westward to empty in the Hellas Plancia. It is in the region of Hellas Quadrangle, south of Lapegia. It is stretching from 27.5 to 47.5 degrees south to and for 245 to 270 degree west for about 1051 kilometer. The air pressure of this region on an average is 12.4 millibar in the winter, that is highest average air pressure, and air temperature is 150 Kelvin to 275 Kelvin, and surface temperature is 307 Kelvin, which is relatively better than the other regions of Mars for habitation. Water availability. In Mars, as per the data available from SARA, the instrument present on board of the MRO spacecraft, near the Reveal Valleys region, there is a debris apron water availability. There is a debris apron where in the subsurface region we have water ice glacier, and scientists believe that the chemical nature of that water ice is almost similar to the pure water. Moreover, in the region of Ethiopia Plancia, NASA reported a large amount of underground ice, which is the having the value of water detected has been estimated to be equivalent to the Lake Superior, which is the largest freshwater lake on Earth, that is 10% of the world's surface water. And this 81.4 kilometers wide Korolev crater near the northern polar cap, where Mars Express orbiter have found approximately 2,200 cubic kilometers of water ice. Oxygen availability in Mars. If we compare with Earth, it is negligible. But if we compare it absolutely in Mars, it is more negligible. 96% of carbon dioxide, whereas 0.1% of oxygen only in Mars. So these are the challenges which our habitat may face in Mars. So let's see how we can overcome these challenges in Martian atmosphere. Next, we go for the oxygen generation of Mars.
So thank you, Soumya, for handling me. So hello, everybody. So we know that oxygen is a very crucial part of our life. Without this, we can't imagine any life in any of the planet. So we have to found some method for generating oxygen on Mars, which are as follows. So our first method is uh, thought to be very efficient for oxygen generation, which is by the process of electrolysis. And as Mars has a lot of iron oxides and several other metal oxides, which we are using for the generation of O2. The idea is very simple. We have to take molten metal oxides, basically of iron, and do the electrolysis of that, by using least reactive metal electrode. Through various studies, we found that iridium is the best electrode for separating out the metal and the oxygen. This has double profit too. We can use oxygen for breathing, and metal can be used for infrastructure. Now coming to the next idea, in which we are using cyanobacteria that produce O2. It do this by the help of photosynthesis, not completely like plants, but it uses chlorophyll F and the near infrared radiation and CO2, which with little bit of water, and gives oxygen and glucose. And the plus point of using this is that it can grow in a very harsh climate and survive in a very harsh climate. And the most technological way of producing oxygen is artificial leaf, which is developed by some scientists at Manchester Institute of Technology, in which we use mixture of glucose, copper acetate, sodium hydroxide, sodium dodecyl sulfate, and water, along with cuprous oxide as a reagent we use in this method. After heating the mixture at a specific temperature, and when we pass CO2 in this mixture, then it will produce the oxygen and ethanol as a product. And the ethanol is an organic compound which is very useful too. And it absorbs the CO2 10 times faster than the leaf. Now again for the oxygen generation, lastly, we come to our traditional method, which is by plantation. So first we will start with indoor plantation, and after that we can extend this idea to outdoor plantation. Now plantation. So soil of Mars is infertile basically, although it is rich in minerals as suggested by some scientists. Again, cyanobacteria, that is Crocococcidiopsis. Crocococcidiopsis is very useful for converting the infertile soil elements by and and you know the reason that it can survive in such a harsh climate and can reproduce very easily. Later we can introduce the other microorganism like lichen. It can improve the soil fertility also. So again, as we need water and fertilizer for a plantation, which is the most essential part, which we can produce from the proper waste management and water management too. And we can adopt for the plants like Asterica and Epiliobium, Lupinus lepidus, as they can fix its own nitrogen and can grow in a Martian barren lands. So we can plant the plants which require very less water and produce more and more oxygen, like tulsi, snake palm, plant, money plant, cactus, and small neem trees. These things we can grow in indoor climate also, indoor climate. Moreover, as per the confirmation of the test done in ISS, we can cultivate crops like lettuce in lower pressure. We can use the technique of aeroponics, which uses very less water and very efficient, and it doesn't require any soil also. And we can also use plant tissue culture for the plantation in Mars.
So now I'll be talking about power management and sources of energy. So these are some of the major power sources that can be used to power colonies. So obviously, since there are no oceans and no rivers, so hydro and tidal energy source of energy won't be effective, won't be feasible. Wind energy. So although the Martian atmosphere have really high winds, but due to very thin and low atmospheric pressure, so this won't be feasible enough to power a whole colony. So these are not feasible. So now let's come to solar power. So solar power can be used, but only for small energy generation, as it cannot colonize a whole society because whole colony because already Mars is farther away from Earth, and secondly, it has many dust storms that can cover the solar panels. So the feasible solutions that left with us are geothermal energy and nuclear energy. Nuclear energy can be extracted in any atmospheric condition or any physical condition. So yes, nuclear energy can be used, and Mars is a hard core this time, so we can use geothermal energy also. So there is a company known as Kilopower that creates a nuclear reactor for space traveling. So they are working currently on it. So they are creating a nuclear reactor that can generate 10 kilowatt. So we're taking 10 such nuclear reactors. So we'll be getting 100 kilowatt power. So we'll be utilizing half of these to power up the colony initially. The other 50% of the power will be used to drill in the Martian surface so that we can further utilize the geothermal energy. Because Mars surface temperature is lower than the core, so water will cool quickly. And instead of water, we can also use CO2 because Mars is filled with CO2, and we can extract that CO2 from the Martian ice to convert it to liquid CO2. That can act as a better thermal exchange fluid. So because it evaporates quickly and brings heat on its own. So it can then later be created to convert it to liquefied CO2 again to repeat the process. We try to build as soon as possible. We need to try to build a wire transmission network of around 2 kilometers square, which can fulfill the need of around 1,000 people. So we need a good amount of aluminum and copper for building wires and transmission network. So aluminum has been found in Martian crust in good amount, and have been also found some good traces of copper in some of the valleys. And initially, we need to take some solar panels so that we can initially survive before we can establish the network of geothermal or nuclear energy. So taking the efficiency of around 30% of solar panels and assuming the solar radiation constant of Mars, we need to take around 90 meters square of solar panels initially, and we need to have good storage systems also, as we know that the dust storms are frequent on Mars, so there can be a power disconnection of few weeks also. So one of the things which can store energy is a capacitor, which can charge and discharge quickly, and they also occupy less space. But they are not that much feasible. They can't store that much energy as per now. But scientists are working on supercapacitors. So they will be they can supercapacitors can store a lot of energy. Then comes lithium-ion battery. We will use for as of now. They have high energy density and they are highly efficient also. We increase the efficiency of lithium-ion battery with the help of biotechnology, as a study done by some scientists at MIT, in which viruses are used to like produce anode and also form nanowires. So and viruses can also survive large range of temperature and very harsh conditions. So and also reproduce in very harsh conditions. So they will be helpful. Another way of storing power is regenerative fuel cell. It is available, be easy to use them, and they also have high specific energy. One of the most emerging storage system coming is a flywheel. So what it does is that it's a principle of conservation of momentum for rotational unit. Since it is a chemical battery, so there will be no of replacement as chemical batteries run out after 5 to 10 years. So establishment of communication is very important. It is very vital. The best, most efficient mode of communication will be laser communication, as it uses less wavelength, and its transmitter and receivers are also of less volume and weight, and the highest speed achieved through laser communication is 7 GB per second. But since there is a lot of distance between Earth and Mars, so there will be attenuation of 80 dB more than here. So if the technology remains same, then we will getting some bits per second only. So we need to improve that a lot. So our plan is to build a uh, network of relay satellites, which can basically pass the data, receive and pass the data. And for that, we can use delayed networking architecture, which is specifically built for occasionally available networks. And they pass a large amount of data whenever network is available, uh, which are unlikely of TCP and IP. They don't follow much residues. And we can't depend on Earth this form of communication for a lot of time. So we need to build a kind of Martian internet on themselves. So we can take some cache of important data and use constellation of satellites to have internal communication. So we can use a constellation of 3 satellites in aerostationary orbits, which are at 120 degrees to each other. So this way we can cover the whole Mars at a time. And here one of the satellites will always be in the line of sight of Earth, so that satellite will be available for us to communicate with Earth. And all the 3 satellites will be interconnected to each other through one of their antennas. And they are the most dominant source of attenuation here on Mars are dust storms and surface rock, and the space free loss is similar to Earth, since there is thinner Martian atmosphere and almost transmitted clouds. So the the laser communication will be the best mode of communication here also. And if we are using radio waves, then we can use low frequency, as they are good in reflection. They can reflect through surface rocks and have a good communication. And for faster communication, we can build a network of optical cables also. And we need to take some really intelligent technologies with us, so that they can help us to have a established habitat quickly. And we can use autonomous drone which can help us find elements and water and other things. And since oxygen is very important, so we need to since carbon dioxide is available in lot of amount, so we need to find a way for conversion of carbon dioxide into oxygen. And we have been able to do that, but we need to increase its efficiency. And we will take help of some intelligence systems and sensors which can adapt themselves in the environment and learn from the environment and basically help us in other things like agriculture and other things.
So now we go with the infrastructure of the Martian habitat. So the basic needs for the infrastructure of Martian habitats are shelter, production units, water management system, power stations, locomotion and transportation network, communication network, resource management units, and waste management system. Shelter. So the first question is that what should be the location of the settlement? In the upper Ural valleys, we have a sinus morphology that extends up to 220 km and degraded through the degraded highlands and the smooth plains, have streamlined islands and lateral terraces or benches. Hence, the upper Ural valleys is suitable for having settlement for the Martian habitat. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next comes the construction material. What should the construction material of our shelter? As per the composition of the Martian regolith, there are silicon, iron, aluminium, magnesium, and their oxides. So we can use these metals to make steel-based textile constructions. We can also make Martian material concrete with the help of by combining the Martian regolith with molten sulfur binder, which has been scientifically tested and proved to be good for the Martian atmosphere, having a good strength. Now we can also make stone wool by heating and extruding the basalt present in the Martian regolith, which can also be used in various structural materials. Structural design. A two-story dome-shaped building is found to be structurally stable in the Martian low-gravity atmosphere. It will have a top floor above the ground and a ground floor below the ground. So the top floor and the ground floor both will have a single have a entrance door which is airlocked and separated from the main space by a corridor to prevent depressurization of the main space. There should not be any window to prevent radiations to come into the room, and to overcome the side effect of having no window, we should have a proper lighting within the room. The roof of the shelter have to be covered with a layer of 1 to 1.5 meter stone wool to prevent radiations to penetrate micrometeoroids to hit the roof. And we can also have internal garden for freshening the interior air and maintaining proper air pressure, temperature, humidity, etc. naturally as much as possible. And then further we can achieve our suitable level with the help of technological support. Next slide, please. Production units. Two major production units required for Martian habitat is food production units and transport facility production unit. We can start with the controlled agricultural production units within the Martian biodomes and then shift to the animal husbandry. We can use the techniques of agriculture like aeroponics and plant tissue culture as mentioned earlier. So transport facility production units. Transport facilities like water pipelines, public vehicles, goods carriers, spacecraft, and launch vehicles are mainly required for the Martian habitats. Hence, we need to have units for material processing, manufacturing different parts of the transports, and units for assembly accessories. We can use the materials as mentioned earlier for material processing. These can be placed in different parts of the habitat. Now comes the water management system. Water is obviously very important for life. So we can collect our water from the water ice glacier present near the valley and we can transport it through utility corridor, underground utility corridor. But there is a problem with it. The surface of minus 130 degrees centigrade or even less will require very thick isolation or heating system to keep the water liquid. So to overcome this, we can have an alternate by transporting the water in frozen form with the help of trains. Moreover, if we are in a state to say that we have enough capability to produce large amount of oxygen, then we can carry 4,000. We can carry liquid hydrogen from Earth. As per calculations, it is found that if we carry 400 tons of liquid hydrogen from Earth, somehow, then we will be able to produce 3,600 tons of water in Mars. And through efficient water management, we can, if we consume 5 kg water per day per person, then we can supply 1,000 people supply water to 1,000 people for about 202 years. So for increasing the efficiency of water uses, we can use techniques like dry bath instead of water bathing. We can use drip irrigation system for plant irrigation. According to some biological studies, it has been found that the total water which we consume comes out of our body in the form of sweat, breath, urination, and feces. We can use these things to recycle and reuse and produce water and then reuse it. Example, we can purify the air and condense the water vapor present in it, and then we can reuse the water. We can purify the urine and extract water, urea salt from it, and then use the urea salts as fertilizers and water for drinking and other purposes. Yeah, power stations. As we found earlier, that geothermal energy is a good option for power generation in Martian atmosphere. So we need geothermal power stations. And since geothermal power stations are good to be in a greater depth, so we can place the geothermal power stations in the lower reach of the Lewis Valley because it has a greater depth. And we can have solar power stations in the upper reach of the Lewis Valley over the terraces of upper Lewis Valley. We can also have nuclear power stations in the lower river valleys. So locomotion and transportation network. So we can have underground tunnels dug by robots, which will be used as utility corridor and human pavements. We can have over the ground covered pathways constructed for transport facilities. Train can be a good option for faster mass transportation. For the habitat to keep in contact with Earth and for going for space exploration, we need to have spaceport in the infrastructure. So we can collect the supplied resources from Earth and do other space works.
Another mode of transportation could be rovers. So NASA has already built a prototype. So there are some few important points to note that there is defined dust on Mars, so it can affect any or all electronics. So it needs to be completely airtight. Radiation shielding also need to be done with polyethylene materials or lead. This rover is detachable. It has a lab in its back, so and the front is in the and an engine is in the front, so the lab can be detached for scientific purposes. And since there is no GPS on planet, Planus is a community that is planned an array of mobile antennas to locate to serve as a GPS, local GPS on the from the habitat.
Yeah, so communication network is also very important for our infrastructure. As mentioned earlier, we can use an interlinked satellite system and tower-based ground networking system for better communication network. Resource management units, it's the most important part of our infrastructure to use in situ resources in Mars. But why? Because we need to reduce our dependency over Earth for resources. How can we achieve it? We can with the help of satellite data, it has been found that the regions of lobate debris aprons, Dow valleys, Niger valleys, which are situated near the Rival valleys region, they are a rich reservoir of Martian minerals, water ice, etc. So we can construct resource units there. Waste management system. To have an eco-friendly habitat, it is very important to have a proper waste management system. Different units are need to be placed near the industries and house localities and human localities. These units are to be connected by underground utility corridors, and we can reuse and recycle the waste for production of different tools, generation of power, agricultural fertilizers, etc. Now here is a method by which we can manage organic and inorganic waste. We can crush all the waste into a form of slurry, put it into a container, and then pass electricity and artificially generated oxygen to promote oxidation process, and then put some bacteria and allow the bacterial colony to grow. Then it will break down the waste into several chemically useful things like sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide, carbon dioxide, and some simple organic compounds which can be used later. So an infrastructure needs to be very flexible for future upgradation. Hence, here comes our final mapping for our infrastructure. Here, the various units of our infrastructure is placed in various places as per their geological and morphological suitability, and they are interconnected with the help of transport network and communication network. Here, we conclude for our infrastructure.
So then comes psychology. If you go on internet, you will find thousands of books and articles on psychology in space. So it is a really important factor that many people ignore. So keeping this in mind, two recent movies have been released that show how important psychology is in space. So there are these two films tell us how exactly important it is. In one of these films, a group of astronauts are sent down to a underground Earth facility to test their mental fitness, and in the other, the protagonist is constantly monitors his mental fitness using AI. So NASA is not behind in this race. NASA has launched a program, human resource program, called Behavioral Health and Performance, to monitor human psychology in space and low gravity. So we'll be using psychological rewarding activities to maintain mental health. We will be giving them recreational times and obviously, if possible, try to yeah. So yeah. So with this, we would like to conclude. These are our references, and thank you.